Shadow's edge. The sky above Proxima Beta never truly darkened. 3 suns cast perpetual light across the colony's gleaming spires and sprawling agricultural domes. Humanity had thrived here for nearly 2 centuries, their perpetually illuminated world a testament to human perseverance and ingenuity. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the observation deck of Colony Command, watching as harvest drones collected the season's bounty from the amber fields below. "Commander," Lieutenant Patel's voice crackled through her comm. "We're detecting anomalies at the outer sensor grid." Elena frowned. "Specifics?" "That's just it. There are no specifics. Sections of the grid are simply going dark." The first distress call came from Outpost Helios, the farthest human settlement on Proxima Beta's smaller moon. Their transmission was fragmented, desperate voices breaking through static. "They're coming through the shadows. They're everywhere. They consume the light." Within hours, Helios went silent. Elena dispatched a response team, but when their ships approached the outpost, they encountered only floating debris and an inexplicable darkness that their floodlights couldn't penetrate. Of the 3 ships sent, only 1 returned, it told scorched with strange patterns that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Something was moving in that darkness, the surviving pilot reported, his eyes wide with terror. "Not solid, more like living shadows. They didn't attack our ship, they attacked our lights. And when the lights failed, they came for us." Within days, similar reports emerged from outposts across the system. The pattern was always the same: darkness spreading unnaturally, communications failing, and then silence. The scientific community was baffled. This was no known cosmic phenomenon, no solar flare or magnetic anomaly. "They call themselves the Voidwalkers," announced Dr. Marcus Chen, the colony's xenobiologist, during an emergency council meeting. He displayed holographic footage captured by a drone before it was destroyed. Shifting masses of darkness that moved with purpose and intelligence. "They're a species that evolved in the darkness between stars," Dr. Chen explained. "They perceive light as we perceive pain, and the artificial lights of our colonies are like screams to them. They've come to silence us." The council hall erupted in panic. Humanity had encountered alien species before, but never one so fundamentally opposed to their very existence. Proxima Beta, with its 3 suns and perpetual daylight, must have seemed like an abomination to these creatures. Elena slammed her fist on the table. "We need solutions, not panic." "Dr. Chen, how do we fight them?" "They seem to have difficulty with certain light frequencies," Chen replied. "The ultraviolet spectrum causes them particular distress." Within 48 hours, every colonist was equipped with UV light emitters. Defense perimeters were established around major settlements, bathing the boundaries in harsh ultraviolet light. For a brief moment, humanity believed they had found a solution. Then the Voidwalkers adapted. They began moving through the narrowest gaps in the light barriers, learning the patterns of the UV emitters. What's worse, they started targeting power stations first, systematically eliminating humanity's ability to create light. Settlement after settlement fell into darkness, and in the darkness, the Voidwalkers reigned supreme. Helena stood in the remains of New Jakarta, a settlement of 15,000 that had been reduced to empty buildings in a single night. Her UV flashlight cut through the perpetual twilight that had descended over this section of the colony. "How many survivors?" she asked Lieutenant Patel. "Less than 100, he replied grimly. "They say the shadows consumed the others." Elena shuddered. The reports described people being enveloped in darkness and simply ceasing to exist. No bodies remained, just empty clothes where colonists had stood moments before. As they picked through the ruins, Elena's light caught something unusual, a patch of darkness that didn't disperse when illuminated. She approached cautiously, UV beam focused on the anomaly. The darkness writhed under her light, and then, impossibly, it spoke, a sound like wind through ancient caves, translated by her comm unit. "Your light hurts, but we endure." Elena steadied her trembling hand. Why are you attacking us? You are infection. Lightbringers. Destroyers of the natural state. The void was first. Light came after. Before Elena could respond, the shadow lunged forward, flowing around her light beam. Lieutenant Patel fired his plasma rifle, the blast momentarily illuminating the darkness. But the creature had already vanished. Back at Colony Command, the situation grew more desperate. 50% of settlements had gone dark, and refugees streamed into the main colony. Power reserves were dwindling as the Voidwalkers systematically destroyed their solar collection arrays. Soon, even the central colony would be vulnerable. In her quarters, Elena studied the data collected from every encounter. A pattern began to emerge. The Voidwalkers weren't just avoiding light. They were studying it, learning its properties, adapting to counter it. They were intelligent, strategic. We can't outfight them with light. Elena realized. We need to outthink them in darkness. She summoned the colony's top scientists and engineers for a radical proposal. We've been trying to fight these creatures on our terms, with light. But what if we learn to fight them on theirs? Dr. Chen looked skeptical. Commander, humans aren't adapted for darkness. We rely on vision, on light. Then we adapt, Elena said firmly. I need technology that allows us to operate in complete darkness. And I need volunteers willing to undergo whatever modifications are necessary. You're talking about changing human physiology, Chen protested. That's beyond experimental. We're beyond having choices, Elena countered. The Voidwalkers are winning because darkness is their natural habitat. We need to make it ours too. The Council approved her plan with reluctance. Resources that had been dedicated to producing light were redirected to Elena's new project, Umbra Protocol. While the remaining colonies fortified their light barriers, Elena worked with scientists to develop technology that would allow humans to not just survive in darkness, but thrive in it. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source: the bioluminescent organisms native to Proxima Beta's oceans. Dr. Chen's team had been studying these creatures, which produced light through biological processes rather than technology. We can use gene therapy to incorporate these bioluminescent properties into human cells, Chen explained. But not to create constant light. Rather, to give humans the ability to perceive and manipulate darkness itself. As Elena watched the first volunteers undergo the procedure, she thought of Earth's ancient deep-sea creatures, anglerfish and viperfish, that had evolved to use light as a weapon in the darkest depths. Perhaps humanity needed to embrace a similar evolution. The first tests were promising. The modified humans, now calling themselves Umbra Squad, could perceive shapes in complete darkness, sensing disturbances in the void the way aquatic predators sense movement in water. More importantly, they could briefly generate intense bursts of focused light from their modified cells, not enough to illuminate an area, but enough to wound a Voidwalker at close range. As the main colony's power reserves approached critical levels, Elena knew they were running out of time. The Voidwalkers had surrounded the central colony, their darkness pressing against the dwindling light barrier like an ocean against a failing dam. When the final power relay station fell, plunging the main colony into darkness, the colonists braced for the end. But Elena was ready. As the Voidwalkers flowed into the darkened streets, they encountered something they had never faced before. Humans who moved confidently through the blackness. Humans who could sense their presence. Humans who no longer feared the dark. The first battle was fought in total darkness, witnesses reporting only brief flashes of blue-white light as the Umbra Squad engaged the enemy. By dawn, the colony still stood, and the Voidwalkers had retreated. But this was just the beginning. Elena looked out at the darkened colony, her modified eyes perceiving shapes and movements that normal humans couldn't see. "We've bought ourselves time," she told Lieutenant Patel. "But to win this war, we need to take the fight to them. We need to become what they fear most, humans who have mastered darkness." Lightbringers. 6 months after the first attack, Proxima Beta was unrecognizable. The once brilliant colony now operated in perpetual low light, with most activities taking place in darkness. The colonists had adapted, using touch-based interfaces and sound navigation. But the most profound change was in the Umber Squad. What had begun as a small experimental unit had grown into a force of thousands. The gene therapy had evolved, becoming more refined with each iteration. The latest Umber soldiers weren't just capable of sensing darkness. They could manipulate it, bend it, use it as both shield and weapon. Elena, now bearing the luminescent markings of an Umber elite, led the training of new recruits. Her eyes, permanently modified to see in darkness, reflected light like a cat's. The transformation had been painful, but necessary. The Voidwalkers believe darkness is their domain, she told the assembled soldiers. They evolved in it over millennia. But what took them eons to develop, we've achieved in months. That's humanity's true strength. Adaptation. Intelligence gathered by Umber Scouts revealed that the Voidwalkers had established a central nexus in the abandoned mines beneath Proxima Beta's North Pole. It was there, in the deepest darkness, that they coordinated their attacks. They're not just random raiders, explained Dr. Chen, whose own modifications allowed him to project detailed holograms from his palms. They're a collective consciousness. Each shadow entity we encounter is connected to their central mind. Strike at the nexus, and we might disrupt their entire network. Elena's plan was audacious, a direct assault on the Voidwalker nexus, not with light, but with the Umber Squad's ability to turn the Voidwalker's own element against them. We've analyzed their communication patterns, Elena explained to her strike team. They use darkness as a medium, sending ripples through shadow like we send radio waves through air. With our modifications, we can disrupt those signals, essentially creating noise in their communications. The assault began during Proxima Beta's rare planetary alignment, when all three suns align behind the planet, casting the longest natural shadow across the northern hemisphere. The Umber Squad moved through terrain that would have been impassable to unmodified humans, their bodies emitting only the faintest bioluminescent glow to guide each other. Their first encounter with Voidwalker sentries revealed how far they'd come. Instead of fleeing from the shadow entities, the Umber soldiers engaged them directly, using their modified bodies to absorb and redirect darkness. The Voidwalkers, encountering resistance in what they had considered their exclusive domain, retreated in disarray. Deep beneath the surface, Elena and her team discovered the true nature of the Voidwalker nexus, a vast chamber where darkness itself seemed to pulse with consciousness. At the center floated a being unlike the others, a concentration of void so intense that it appeared solid. The origin, whispered Dr. Chen, who had insisted on joining the mission. Their central consciousness. As they prepared to attack, the darkness spoke, not in sounds, but directly into their minds. You have changed yourselves, become abominations, neither light nor darkness. Why? Elena stepped forward. To survive. That's what humans do. We adapt. We sought only to restore balance. Your light spreads, consumes. The darkness recedes. For the first time, Elena understood. The Voidwalkers hadn't attacked out of malice, but preservation. As humanity spread across the stars, their cities of light pushed back the natural darkness that was the Voidwalkers' home. There can be balance, Elena offered. We've learned to live in darkness now. We can limit our light, contain it. Too late, the origin pulsed. The infection spreads. All light-bringers must be consumed. The origin expanded suddenly, darkness flowing out in a wave that threatened to engulf the Umber Squad. But Elena was prepared. At her signal, the soldiers activated their most powerful adaptation, the ability to absorb darkness itself, drawing it into their modified cells and converting it to energy. As the origin's darkness flowed into them, the Umber soldiers began to glow. not with the harsh artificial light that had first attracted the Voidwalker's wrath, but with a soft bioluminescence that harmonized with the surrounding shadows. The Origin recoiled in confusion. "What are you?" "We are human," Elena replied. "We've become part of the darkness, not its enemy. And we offer you a choice: coexistence or extinction." The battle that followed defied description. The Umbra soldiers moved through darkness like it was water, their bodies alternately absorbing and emitting shadow. The Voidwalkers, for the first time, faced creatures that could hunt them in their own element. When it was over, the Origin had withdrawn to a fraction of its former size, weakened but not destroyed. Elena stood before it, her body glowing with absorbed darkness. "We don't need to be enemies," she said. "Proxima Beta has enough space for both our kinds. We've learned to live in shadow. Now learn to tolerate our light." The treaty that followed transformed Proxima Beta. The colony was divided into zones of light and darkness, with buffer regions where modified humans and Voidwalkers could interact. Knowledge was exchanged. The Voidwalkers shared secrets of faster-than-light travel through shadow corridors, while humans taught techniques for directed energy manipulation. 1 year after the first attack, Elena stood at a new observation deck, watching as Umbra engineers worked alongside Voidwalker entities to construct a hybrid habitat. Her body now bore elaborate bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with her heartbeat, a mark of her status as the human liaison to the Voidwalker collective. "They still don't understand us completely," she told Lieutenant Patel, who had undergone the modifications himself. "They evolve so slowly that our rate of adaptation seems impossible to them." "Do you think other human colonies will accept the modifications?" Patel asked. "Not everyone will want to change themselves this dramatically." Elena watched as a group of children, born after the first attacks, modified from birth, played in the shadows, their bodies emitting soft pulses of light as they chased Voidwalker younglings through the darkness. "They won't have to," she replied. "But those who do will open doors to places we never imagined. The void between stars isn't empty. It's teeming with life and knowledge. We just needed to learn how to see in the dark." Word spread across human space. The species that had once built ever brighter cities to push back the night had discovered something profound. Darkness wasn't an enemy to be conquered, but another frontier to explore. And in that darkness, humanity had once again proven its greatest strength: the ability to adapt, to evolve, to transform adversity into advantage. The Voidwalkers had come seeking to extinguish the Lightbringers. Instead, they had catalyzed humanity's next great leap forward, becoming creatures of both light and shadow, at home in the darkness between stars.